Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes, ma'am. Is my presentation visible? Okay, okay. A very good evening to all of you. My name is Dhatri Parmar. I am a student of Bachelor of Arts last year from R.R. Molkar Arts College, SPI MKB. Today, my topic of the presentation is racial bias and social discrimination in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Here is a table of content. Talking about the present time, society continues to make discrimination based on ethnicity, race, sex, or gender, or other characteristics that should have no bearing on people's achievement or well-being. The plot of novella Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad centered around the seafarer named Marlowe and his journey up to the Congo River and his exploits there during a time of imperialism. Once Marlowe joined the company as a captain for a ship heading the Congo to trade, he encounters intense of oppression of the African natives by a member of the company. In the recent years, the state of Marlowe and even Conrad's opinion on race have been questioned due to the thematic element of oppression of black and white presented in this work. Though Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad to be a novel with a racist undertone and offensive view of African imperialism, it illustrates the discovery of a new world and a new people by Europeans in 19th century with the imperialist take opposed to the racist. When Marlowe arrives at Congo River, he is exposed to the corruption of imperialism by witnessing the destruction and torture in the inflicts on the Africans. His journey is not only into the heart of darkness geographically, but also into human devilish nature, as Marlowe considered the savagery, the utter savagery, all the mysterious life of wilderness, the steers in the forest, in the jungle, in the heart of wild man. This dialogue represents the reality of the heart of darkness. It also reveals the darker side of Western civilization as well, such as Kurz says terrifyingly, the horror. If we are talking about what is racial bias and social discrimination, racial bias is when you are biased against someone due to their race. For example, when white person has a racial bias against black person, when all other things are equal, we cannot discriminate people or we cannot be biased by someone without any just a race, a thing like a race. Talking about the social discrimination is defined as a sustained inequality between individuals on the basis of illness, disability, religion, sexual orientation, or any other measure of diversity, which is totally natural, or we can say that it is a totally geographically conditions. We cannot discriminate people by that. If we are talking about particularly in the novel, where is the some of these dialogues and the incidents where the reflection of the racial bias and social discrimination is constantly showing that when Marlowe arrives at Congo River, he explores the dark side of these African peoples, whatever the companies people are doing with the people of others. Western Floated says that Marlowe is, of course, a subdivision of Conrad's personality. It is quite ironic that Kurz is asked to make a report on International Society for the Suppression of the Savage Custom, even though he is the one who is oppressing. Kurz is the most brutal among the all colonizers. He places natives' head on the stakes because of participating in unspeakable rights and says, exterminate all the brutes at the end of his document on the civilization. Marlowe supposes company's mission on civilization in Africa as mere phased, but he also thinks that empires cannot be built without the activity that he is witnessing in Congo. Visuals and auditory images such as pilgrims, gunfires, broken lead, dodage, possibility of sudden onslaught and massacre, brutal instinct. All these words are suggest dread, senseless devastation, and inhumanity to man and imperialist desire of this person, particularly in the novel. If we are talking that Marlowe's one of the dialogue in the novel is that Marlowe described the appearance of European as a light, stretched collar, white cuff, snowy trouser, clean necklet, varnished boot, hair brushed, all, while on the other hand he described African as he implies that the black shadow of disease and starvation lying confusedly in the greenish gloom, dying like flies. All this situation of the African is just because of the company's whatever this operation which was doing at that time on the Africans people. So in this Marlowe, with this help of this dialect, we can clearly see the discrimination which is showing by this dialogue of the Marlowe. Native thinks that the curse is their god. They are like godlike power, and he is in reality he is the monstrous to them. They have no power to the rest because they are somewhere like a subalterns. If we are talking about the Russian trader, one of his dialogue is that you do not talk with that man, you only listen to him, which implies that the weak can only survive by compromising the powerful. Native expect the region of terror of curse without having the strength of challenging. He is colonized monster who is thirsty for ivory, raids villages, steals ivory, shoots rebels, and make them example of the rest. Kurz is obsessed with his ownership as he say, my ivory, my river, my intended, my station. At the end of novel, Marlowe says that tranquil waterway, which exhibit African silence over disastrous occurrence of racism and imperialism. We can see that Marlowe used a disparaging word for describing African underpersonalities, such words like unspeakable rights, stynic Italy, brutal, monstrous, vigorful, implacable, inscrutable, evil, and this kind of words are reflecting somewhere that Conrad's, we can say that Conrad's discriminative mindset or social discrimination are still going on throughout the novel. On the one hand, Joseph Conrad plays trick with the language of portrays African as beasts, while on the other hand, humanize European in the political novella Heart of Darkness. It compromise words that are unable to express reality due to uncertainty of the language. Such as Marlowe's these words are representing the racial mentality or social discriminate mentality of this. In this we can also say that in the conclusion, we can say that eventually throughout the novella, discrimination reflects and it shows that it happened not even 19th or 20th century, but still in the present time. In the novella, Africans are judged by their color, lifestyle, and language. In the novels, Africans were subaltern and had no voice. Like we see, the Russian trader and other Africans, they are not able to speak against the authority of Kurz and Marlowe or as a company's people. Color is fact, and it is just because of a geographical condition. Language is also a natural factor. We cannot discriminate in the basis of color, lifestyle, or language. So the people have right to their life without any oppression or in freedom. So the color is basically the fact or a reality. So we cannot discriminate people or we cannot be biased through their color or their language. So here is I'm concluding my presentation. Here is I'm putting some their work references and thank you so much for providing me stage of presentation. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is my very first experience of presentation. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.